Hi, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of the Next Level podcast. My name is Tom Lauro. I am here with my guest, Ashley Burke from Steady Hand Collective and Cafe. Ashley, how are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm really happy to have you. Obviously, I'm a big fan of yours, and the work that you're doing and your brand new brick and mortar. Um, and I guess, I just want to start typically with all my guests. I let them do a little bit of an intro, talk kind of about, who they are, what they're doing, a little bit about where they came from, and then we can kind of like jumpstart into our topic for today.
Sure. I mean, where I came from is definitely a bit of a deeper dive, but to start, I am the founder of Steady Hand Cafe. Um, it's began as a creative practice that kind of morphed into a coffee shop with a creative backbone. So, um, yeah, we use the term collective to sort of encompass all of the different facets of the business.
Sure. Um, And, I think it's really cool because I feel like obviously you've been in your space for a little while right now, but, it's pretty recent. And, the brick and mortar is fairly new, right? I would say within the last 4 to 6 months.
3 months. We just celebrated
Wow.
3 months
Shorter
like
than
two
that.
days ago. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
But, I've been a fan of yours for a long time. It's not it hasn't been a lot of times in my life that I've been able to see a business kind of flourish from a startup into like a full-fledged storefront, like what you're doing right now. But I remember when you started during COVID and it was just lattes to go that you were literally delivering to homes. And that's how I kind of first found out about you, through Zach and Jess of Sheer Revival. They're friends of mine, and they kind of like just through like mutual channels, I was like, oh, this is something really cool. Obviously, I'm at home most of the time. It would be nice to have, you know, something fun and different delivered to the house, just to kind of shake things up a bit. And I just remember falling in love with the drinks. And I was like, this is such a great concept. And then obviously from there, you do coffee cart at Cat's Luck Vegan, which is a fantastic bakery. And then, you open your second cart at the St. Laurent Social Club, and then that snowballs into a full-on brick and mortar, which is 3 months old, which is fantastic. And, I'm just like, it's just been such an interesting journey for you. And like, just so happy to have somebody on that's obviously so threaded into the community, and obviously like Bradley Beach, which is where you're located, has really seemed to just like kind of accept you with open arms, and like the community just seems to really be happy, with you being there. And obviously the stuff that you're doing in the store is just so fun and different. So just, like it just seemed like a no-brainer to have you on to talk about kind of the process of like where you started to where you are now.
Yeah, that is a wild and crazy ride. We I mean, how far back do we want to go? Are we talking like I was a sign painter and a fiber artist before I was any of this, working in coffee, feeling like, wow, this is a really cool environment to be a creative amongst coffee, just a coffee shop environment where people are coming together and everyone's of all different walks of life, and they're all sitting down to have a cup of coffee together, which is kind of ceremonial in and of
Yeah.
itself. Uh, and as a young creative who had just moved to an area where there was a pretty established community and a pretty established creative community, I found myself like rife with opportunities simply because I was working behind the bar, making coffee for people and hoping to branch out in my own creative world. And at the time, I had no interest in staying at coffee. Coffee was just like a means to an end. It's what a lot of young people do when they're like starting out in the world post college. I just so excuse me, I just so happened to have gone to culinary school.
Hmm.
So I was very well versed in the science of coffee and the science and the hospitality side of hospitality service, which is like a nuanced thing, but is really, really important to be present, and is maybe something that lacks in our current day, which is kind of tying us back to why this works as well as it does.
Yeah.
All of that is really just to say, um, I came out of college not knowing what I wanted to do when I grew up, worked in coffee, felt this like inkling that something was there, but didn't quite know what it was.
Hmm.
Um, and I had enough of that, like, fuck it, let's see in me,
Yeah.
because you're young and you're broke. So like, what's fuck it, let's just try anything.
Yeah.
Uh, So I did. I shot my shot anywhere I could. I was like, oh, I'm into hand lettering. I want to do some hand lettering, and got hired by the management company who runs the entire Asbury Park boardwalk to paint all of the signage for their boardwalk. And that was one of those like, oh, okay, I guess like if you shoot your shot, people sometimes are like, bet, let's see what you can do.
Hmm.
And that's a great opportunity to show people what you can do. Um, then I kind of found myself in fiber art and started doing these like 10-foot wide fiber art installations and teaching workshops on how to do it. And again, still working in coffee to pay the bills, but like doing art, and felt like, wow, okay, this is cool. This is really fucking hard because I'm struggling to pay my bills, but I'm also doing things I love.
Hmm.
Um, and then yeah, I don't know. I kind of came to a point where I realized that uh, I think I came to the realization that most people come to when they're coming out of their like post college years and into real life, where it's like, oh, so capitalism is very much a thing.
Hmm.
And if I want to afford to live or buy groceries or not constantly be struggling, I actually need to be bringing in enough money to survive. And it turns out my art isn't going to do that
Hmm.
alone.
Sure.
And I was experiencing this like phenomena that I talk about in such an esoteric way, but I feel like sometimes like the creatives understand and those who don't just sort of like,
Sure.
that's
Just nod their
cool.
heads.
But
Yeah.
I speak about it as if my creativity left me. Like
Hmm.
I was starving it. I was asking for it to pay my bills. I was asking for it to dance and perform and create when it wasn't wanting to create. And it was like, I don't want to, and you are asking too much of me, and I'm leaving. And it did. My creativity left me, and I felt like I had nothing to give.
Yeah.
And I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what steady hand, because at the time it was steady hand creative. I
Hmm.
did not know what that was anymore. So I put it on a shelf, and I took my coffee experience a little bit more seriously. I moved to Philly, and I started working as a manager of Rival Brothers, which is like a large scale roaster in Philadelphia.
Hmm.
Um, I worked for a couple other different coffee shops in Philly, and that feeling that I felt when I was in the creative, the juices started to come alive inside of me again. And it wasn't until COVID that I realized, well, they let everyone go. So
Hmm.
I sort of had a minute to steep in what to do next. And I think for many people, if they used that time wisely, it gave them an opportunity to zoom out and see what the through line of everything was. And for me, it was that I really, really I love hospitality. I love service. I love engaging with people. I love art, and I love bringing people together in a very like, um, like a, how do I say, an environment where they don't feel as though they have to come with stockpiled with information about coffee. They don't have to know anything about the world that they're entering into to already feel welcomed into it.
Sure.
So I don't know, something inside of me just sort of was fully confident that I could deliver a coffee experience and a space that would give people the feeling of inclusivity and also tap into that like inner creative that is in all of us and awaken it a bit, even if it doesn't mean they like leave the space feeling like I want to go paint or I want to go embroider, whatever. But
Sure.
it awakens like a more pure, more easygoing version and side of ourselves that we haven't really seen since we were kids.
Yeah, totally.
So that's
Um,
how Steady Hand came to be.
yeah, I think it's interesting, like, where do you go from it's a concept of, "I want to make coffee," to, "I'm actually making it and I'm delivering it to people's homes," and then how does that snowball into getting a place to be at, like Cats Like Vegan, where you have an actual cart? I'm just like, the process of it is so interesting because I feel like, even with businesses that started in COVID, there are so few that I feel like really flourished in a way that they were like, wow, we can actually take this and turn it into a brick and mortar. And it, like I said, it's just so, I guess, refreshing and exciting to see like a business like yours that's like so rooted in such like a personal and like intuitive journey that you're like, this is something that I'm exploring because it makes me happy. Um, and to be able to take that and turn that into like a successful business is just such a, I don't know, such a, like a good springboard for a lot of other people to see as like a baseline that like, yes, it's possible to do this, but like I would guarantee like a lot of hard work to get to that point.
1,000%.
Yeah.
I think very early on, I realized that a lot of business, there's so many barriers to entry in business, and most of them are inside of our heads.
Sure.
And I think a lot of times we wait for like permission or someone to say, yes, this is viable, do it.
Hmm.
And I think the how alive I feel in this space and how playful the business is. It is a business, but we are not taking it so seriously that we're like, we're crunching numbers. We're doing what we got to
Yeah.
do to keep this thing alive, but it's coffee, man. Like it's
Sure.
coffee. And
Yeah.
I think from the jump, I wasn't like, someone needs to tell me that this is a good idea before I do it. I just thought, what if we just act like it's already been a thing that's been happening for a while and we
Hmm.
just do it and we bring it to people during COVID however we can, which was in the form of bottled lattes? Because honestly, that came about because I saw every coffee shop in the area closed and not pivoting in any way. And I was like, I'm sorry. You have all of the equipment that I dream of, and
Hmm.
you're doing nothing with it. You're just sitting and waiting for the time that you can open. Like, put it in their hands however you can.
Right.
So I used every single stimulus check I saved. I bought an espresso machine. I bought like bottles. I designed labels. I kind of just like piecemealed together what I could. I created an Instagram account and acted as if we had already been existing. We were
Hmm.
Steady Hand Cafe, which is kind of an offshoot of Steady Hand Creative.
Yeah.
So I sort of just took my audience that was already invested in my creative pursuit and just went, look over here.
Yeah.
And I just, here it is. This is what we're doing. And did not stop to wait for someone to be like, you can't do that.
Hmm.
Because if I waited for that, I would be the first guy. I would be the first
Right.
guy to be like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
So that was my like, just blow through any self-doubt, blow through any gatekeeping, just do the thing. And then I don't know, what keeps it alive is that it continues to be playful.
Yeah.
Designers, let's be real. Video is everywhere. It's bold, it's dynamic, and it's often the first thing that grabs your attention. But placing video into a layout on your website in a way that feels polished and intentional, Well, that's where Wix Studio's Video Box comes in. With Video Box, you can frame and style your video content just the way you would an image. That means adding borders, rounding corners, overlays, aspect ratios, all inside the editor. You're not hacking together embeds or worrying about clunky players messing with your design. Instead, you get complete control over how the video looks and behaves within the site. So why is this powerful? Because it allows you to treat video as a true design element, not just media files that drop into a page. You can integrate it seamlessly into your grid, use it in a hero element, or even layer it with text and effects. It keeps your visual system consistent while still letting the motion continue to shine. And here's the kicker. It's all with no code. You're designing, not troubleshooting. Your client or yourself get a site that feels cinematic, and you get to keep your creative flow intact. With VideoBox in Wix Studio, videos don't just play, they become a part of the design. Try it out at wixstudio.com.
Yeah, I think that's what I love so much about it is obviously it's your brainchild from start to finish. And I just it's so fun to me that I'm like, okay, the logo, the colors, the aesthetic of the like everything that goes into it feels like it just trickles down from like this idea that you had. And obviously I know like other people are involved, you have help, but it's just so inspiring to see this business that started as, like you said, just like delivering plastic bottles of lattes to people's houses to like where you're sitting right now, which is in your coffee shop. So, I mean, talk a little bit about, you know, the aesthetic of Steady Hand, because to me, I think that was one of the things that stood out to me almost immediately. I was like, wow, this is, because coffee shops, they tend to be very serious and very modern and very streamlined. Whereas I felt like, when the first thing I saw with Steady Hand was like, oh, it's very colorful, it's playful. Like where does that come from? I mean, an art background, is that something that pulls from your childhood, or is it something, a business that you kind of had as a kid that you pulled like that aesthetic forward from? Like where does that all drive from?
I mean, if you want to go like super, super basic with it,
Yeah.
uh, my business doesn't have a color palette. It is all of the colors. So
Hmm.
for me, from a branding perspective, I've looked at it as I'll never be locked into a palette. I'll never have to be like closed out of certain aesthetics and certain
Hmm.
vibes because I am utilizing every single color.
Yeah.
We can use different shades. So very early on, I was like, we're every color.
Yeah.
And I mean, harkening back to just a little bit of where it all sort of stems from is this like inner child light playfulness that really just comes alive when there is color. There's play in an absence of limitation, and
Hmm.
I I think that is wonderful, and I am so grateful that I was able to steer the design of the interior in a tasteful way. You can very quickly go like the route of it looking like a daycare. Like if
Sure.
you go too far with colorful play, so I have never done this before. I've never designed a space. I started as essentially a brand with no physical representation. So I had to spend 5 years, which is how long it took to get to brick and mortar,
Hmm.
um, building the vibe of the someday brick and mortar.
Yeah.
So I spent 5 years in a coastal New Jersey town, trying out different things, using bottled lattes, making lots of colorful, fun, playful drinks, trying out different assets. Branding assets are like coffee bags, working with different illustrators who would, I would be very loose with, here's kind of the idea of what we're going for. Like, show me what you've got. And then
Hmm.
that would bounce back at me with some new and different ways that color was playing with my brand.
Sure.
I amalgamated all of that in my mind and was like, okay, cool. So we're looking at like this California coastal, semi like Scandinavian
Mm-hmm.
color palette that has light playfulness to it, is not so serious, is like, how do I say, has some durability to it. The space
Mm-hmm.
is not meant to look like a gallery. It's meant to feel like it's supposed to be used. It's supposed to be in like durable.
Yeah.
Um and I don't know. It just sort of, it all clicked. It just
Yeah.
clicked.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's fantastic. And, one of the reasons I bring it up is because you do like, if you look in your fridge where all the bottled lattes to go are, there are so many that are different colors and they work so well with the labels that you've created because you have so many primary colors. They all pull like from the color palette and they immediately mesh. And it's just like, it's such a great aesthetic. And that's, one of the first draws is like when you pick up a product, you're like, wow, this really, it's just like, it's clicking on all levels. It's working for my eyes. It's going like the dopamine to my brain. I tasted it's delicious. It really was just one of those experiences where you're like, wow, this is just a great product. And, it is so interesting because I feel like a lot of coffee shops will spend so much money, with designers to work on branding and colors, and you just did it on your own and
I
figured it
totally
out.
understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
it's pretty crazy. We got the keys in March, and this place was a different business prior. It was another
mhm.
coffee shop, and it was like an easy flip simply because the walls were white and we have like great exposed ceilings. So
Mhm.
grateful. It was a very neutral palette. I
Yeah.
For the most part, all I had to do was just paint the walls white and then figure out what it is I wanted to do.
Mhm.
But I've never done this before, and I did not have a bottomless budget.
Yeah.
So, uh, the only thing I can say is I spent 5 years envisioning the space and testing out what people respond well to
Mhm.
and utilizing packaging design, utilizing our drinks,
Yeah.
utilizing a lot of different facets of the business that operated outside of a brick and mortar to sort
Mhm.
of inform where color needed to be used, what colors needed to be used, how to use it, and when not to use it.
Yeah.
Um, and like you were saying, like, there's reinforcement every step of the way. You walk in, or even before you walk in, outside, there's this like big orb like light in the front window with our very colorful logo right beneath it. So it's like you're
Mhm.
drawn to this. And then you walk in and it's like tall ceilings. And then there's this beautiful, like, I can turn this a little bit, but there's this like
Yeah.
beautiful fiber art piece that's
Yes.
hanging to kind of harken back to my past
Yeah.
that just like blows in the breeze as you are standing there looking at this beautiful piece of artwork, about to order a delicious, colorful drink. Like there's so much
Yeah.
reinforcement of the brand at every step of the way that people are like, where am I?
Yeah. Do you feel like part of your ethos is kind of that? I mean, obviously we talked about that previously, but like that you're just not trying to take yourself too seriously. Because like I
Yeah.
think it should be play, right? In some aspect of being creative. And it's I come back to this a lot, but there's this designer, Aaron Draplin, and one of the things that he's talked about a lot is just like when you're creating, it should be like play because we're tapping into a part of ourselves as like children, things that we love to do that have just carried through our lives. And I think when you really love something, like you're just tapping into that piece of yourself as a kid where you're like, I love to, tinker with flavors. I love to draw like colors and stuff. So like, do you feel like that's a big part of Steady Hand is like, we're just not trying to take ourselves so seriously?
Totally. I mean, I see nearly every single person who walks through these doors. I am like trying to find or trying to connect with that inner child, because
Yeah.
as lame and as corny as it sounds, that's kind of what's out here in the world now. Like, we're all just our inner child walking around, navigating the world, trying to figure
Sure.
out what it means to not be that anymore. And that sense of play, even if you're not working behind the bar making the coffee, even if you're not the
Mhm.
person who designed the space, there's a sense of freedom that comes alive in a person when they realize that they can lean in on that side of
Yeah.
themselves again. And I don't know, I think people are a better version of themselves when they allow themselves to lean in on that playful side.
I agree. I think like sometimes we get lost so much in the pursuit of trying to make money that we forget why we started doing it in the first place.
Totally.
Yeah, and especially like what you were saying with like, having to take a creative venture and turn it into a capitalist one. It's very easy to lose the soul of the idea and the business.
Yeah.
But I think, you guys have done a really good job of like keeping it very light, and like when you walk in, like you said, you see the menu is all like alphabet magnet tiles,
Yeah.
um and you guys are doing such fun like flavor combinations. I think it would be really cool to talk a little bit about like what it is that you're doing, because obviously like you have a full rotating menu, and it's, obviously you have things that are standards that stay, but you just put a fluffernutter latte on the menu, and you have your burnt orange, and it's like, and all these things, like it's not stuff that you just buy and put into a bottle. It's you're making these in the back of the kitchen, and you're testing flavors, and it's like there's a lot of passion that goes into all of this, and like the aesthetic of like what you guys are presenting to the customer.
Totally. I think a lot of that comes from, I think once I decided that this business was going to lean heavily on playfulness, it like cracked open or gave permission to my mind to just explore creatively whatever options come to me. So having been, having come from a food and beverage background, there were meals that stood out to me or flavor profiles that from meals that were like, interesting, these stand out to me. Like, what is it about it? How can I play with that with coffee or just beverages in general? Cocktail culture has been in our, especially as a millennial, it's like, it
Hmm.
was one of those things where we were like, wow, a mixologist. What is this? How is
Yeah.
this like this other form of play that shows up in our adult lives that is now like, oh, there's smoke and there's bubbles and there's like, there is
Sure.
play happening in other facets, but we want to be so serious about it.
Yeah.
And coffee has always wanted, and for a long time has succeeded in being very serious and being
Hmm.
very gate kept. And I think there is a way to maintain the integrity of coffee because it is a living thing that has an entire lifetime of coming from, real people are growing this product that then comes to us, and we have to honor the fact that someone spent all of that time and energy to make it. So we never want to lose that.
Yeah.
We only want to enhance that or highlight it or use it as an ingredient.
Yeah.
And for me, using it as an ingredient and turning everything upside down and saying everything is an ingredient, it made it easier for my flavors to sort of, my brain to just like explore all sorts of flavors. So
Sure.
we lean heavily on nostalgia, of course, because the space is playful and fun and, childlike. So our cereal milk latte was one of those drinks that I like, honestly, would, when I worked at other coffee shops coming up, would be like, hey, this cinnamon vanilla. There's nothing profound about this. It is
Yeah.
cinnamon and vanilla, but somehow this this combination has always tasted like cinnamon toast crunch to me, and I've always been like, we should do this. And every shop I would bring it to, they'd be like, I don't think we're going to do that. So I
Yeah.
just sort of saved it. And it was the first drink that we had, that we offered in our bottled lattes, that put us where we are. It
Yeah.
is now basically like, I joke that we are a lemonade stand for cereal milk lattes, because that is what we
Yeah.
what we sell the most of.
Yeah.
Um, but I have this enormous running list of drink flavors and combinations that have worked and others that haven't, that I'm just constantly racing through. And some of them are like more culinary inspired. So we've done like a cardamom rose latte, which
Yes. Yeah.
was inspired by having a Lebanese meal called kanafe, which is
Mhm.
essentially like a firm brick of cheese that's wrapped in phyllo dough and then drenched in honey
Sure.
and then
Yeah.
baked and then covered in rose petals. And it's this like beautiful, and I guess cardamom is sort of just like a Middle Eastern spice that stood out. But these flavors
Yeah.
all together, I was like, oh, that's a drink.
Mhm.
It's right there.
Yeah.
Fluff and Nutter is what's popping off for us right now, which is funny because, again, similarly, I talk about creativity as a living thing. And sometimes when you don't give it a life, it will find someone else to do so.
Sure.
So we've had Fluff and Nutter on our list of drinks to make when we finally have a brick and mortar, because there's many different facets to it that have to be prepped. That's just easier to do when you have a brick and mortar or
Yeah.
kitchen space. And it has been done. It has been done like so many times by so many people. And by the
Mhm.
time we put this flavor out, people were like, "Oh, you're like doing that drink that is
Yeah.
being New England has like this coffee shop that's been doing this drink that's exactly the same." And I was like,
Sure.
"Oh, I didn't know that that's a thing, and that is awesome that that's what's happening."
Yeah.
But this is the way that we've been wanting to do it, so this is how we're going to do it, and here it is.
Yeah.
And it's standing out to people in the same way that our cereal milk latte is, where people just, I watch people take a sip and they have like a fluff mustache and the flavors of their favorite camp sandwich just crossing their palate and immediately coming. It was like something was awoken in them.
Yeah.
That moment right there is something I want to encapsulate in everything I do.
Yeah.
This just aliveness.
Yeah. No, and I think that's what makes your business so exciting, is because you put in so much effort into these flavor profiles. And even if it has been done before, or it's something, that's, popular on like Instagram or TikTok, it's like, I just feel like, I've had cereal milk things before, but I could tell as soon as I tried that to go latte, I was like, this is something that took a lot of time and effort. Like, you can just tell when you taste something that like the flavor profile is so deep that you're like, oh, somebody took the time to really figure out like what it is that makes this flavoring so special and rebuilt it for this drink. It wasn't just something that you were like, oh, I can buy this off the shelf and put it
Right.
in here. And I think that's what I love so much about your business is like, when you guys put out a new drink, I know that it took a lot of time and effort to get it from the back of the kitchen to the front of the store to like where it's being served. Um, like, do you have like a running list of drinks that you're like, oh, these are things that I would love to do when I have the time to actually sit down and like work in the back of the kitchen and do it? Or do you feel like you guys have run through a gamut of stuff that you're like, it's not for the masses. It's maybe just for us.
No, I have an exhaustive list of drinks that I have not even brought to life because, quite frankly, I would change our menu every 2 weeks and people would get pissed off. Like, where was that drink? I didn't get a chance to get over here and now it's
Right.
gone. It's like, but I want to get to all the other things that I have on my
Right.
list.
Yeah.
So I almost feel limited by the fact that people need some time, a month or so. So that's like, oh, okay. So I only have like 12 months
Hmm.
to put out. Is that 12 drinks? Is that it?
Yeah. I think that's like something that I've been thinking about, like, as we're coming up to this conversation is like, there's so many achievements that have come in this period of 5 years, but what are the challenges that you're facing now that you're, you're not limited to the coffee cart anymore. You have like a full-fledged, kitchen and staff. Like do you feel like there have been a lot of growing pains in this process of you getting into this new space? And like, do you feel like you've worked through a lot of them? Have there been other challenges that you've been presented with? Like, stuff like that.
Um, so for a very long time, it was just me.
Yeah,
And that was easy to manage because if I wanted to make a decision, I just did it and then I didn't have to inform anyone.
sure.
Um, I am grateful in that I had some like real solid heart to hearts with myself in the last 2 years where I decided for a long time, I was just like, whatever happens, happens. We have a brick and mortar. We don't. It's fine.
Hmm.
In the last 2 years, I was like, we're going to have a brick and mortar. We need to start acting like we're going to have a brick and mortar. Let's build systems.
Yeah.
So for the most part, while of course there were growing pains because this is a brand new thing to me and
Hmm.
it was a lot all at once. And we opened Memorial Day weekend into full summer. So like
Yeah.
that in and of itself was just the normal expected madness. Um, I'm grateful to past self that I built systems for future self for someday when we have a shop.
Hmm.
So a lot of things systematically fell into place and I was able to plug people in and just start like, okay, this is what you do. This is what you do. This is how we do things. Here's the lists, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Um, and I, in those 2 years, built up a staff member. It was the only person who helped me with all of my events.
Hmm.
I built them into being my operations manager by
Hmm.
basically peeling back the curtain and being like, this is how the sausage is made. Please help
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
So by the time we had a brick and mortar, it was like, go. And for the most part, all systems are go. But it is still very difficult for me when I want to make changes or I am pivoting or um, changing the menu for the love of God. Like you have to inform everyone because they are now the mouthpiece for your business. They are the point of contact for every single customer
Sure.
and where I know the insides and outsides of every intention behind every drink and every decision. They don't.
Hmm.
So if I don't tell them, they just say, yeah, I don't know, it's a drink made with orange and vanilla. And I'm like, it's
Hmm.
actually made with bergamot, which is another orange flavor. And it's
Right.
like, so I am excited and I am bursting at the seams with creativity. And I need to slow my ass down so that I
Hmm.
can let staff get oriented before I'm just
Sure.
like, hi, crazy person, we're going to go fast now.
Yeah.
So that's that.
Yeah. And I guess like, you talk about the brick and mortar and obviously you're in the space now, but at what point was the tipping point for you that you knew that this is happening? Like we are working towards something that's not just, having two coffee carts in two different locations and like doing events and other things. Like when were you at the point where you're like, we're doing this, we're looking for a space?
Um, I was so tired. Um, n- every single piece of equipment for coffee is very heavy,
Hmm.
and I am one person, and it was I was tired. I was tired of the schlep. I was tired of okay, between these dates or these months we do this, between these months we do this, and I was tired of customers asking us where we're going to be next.
Yeah.
That like unknown was so stressful and relied on other people having exactly the space and exactly the storage. And I was looking for a brick and mortar before I was ready to like acknowledge for myself that I was looking for a brick and mortar. And I
Yeah.
was scared because it's, I mean, it open your eyes and you are flooded with every reason for why the economy is terrible and the world's on fire. It's like, if you want a reason to not do a thing, it's there for you. And
Yeah.
I, for a very long time, was like, that's scary. Why would we do that?
Sure.
Things are okay right now. But I was tired of, I was tired. I was
Yeah.
tired. And I was ready for something else.
Hmm.
And I kind of like threw myself off the deep end a little bit and was like, we're not looking for a winter pop-up.
Yeah.
We're not. We're going to close at the St. Laurent this last summer.
Sure.
And the only next time that we open our doors will be to our own place. Like I was just like, line in sand, this is what's happening.
Hmm.
I had also been looking for 2 years and hadn't found anything.
Yeah.
And it's very specific. Coffee needs Main Street or some sort of downtown walkability with a community and people. We're in a seasonal area. You need to be where the people are. And if
Yeah.
you are in even just a little bit out of their way, it's not part of their routine. So no,
Sure.
it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
And weirdly enough, I did like a little New Year's Eve post and I did like our highs and our lows of the year. And there were
Hmm.
so many highs. We did See Here Now, which was fucking crazy. It's
Yeah.
so cool. Like, I'm not even a real boy and I've done some real boy things.
Yeah.
And then the only negative was we still don't have a brick and mortar. And I think I'm okay with that.
Hmm.
And that night, into my DMs slid the owner of the space that I am currently in, who was like,
Hmm.
hey, I heard you're still looking for a space. We are actually about to announce tomorrow that we are closing our space. Any chance you're interested? And I was like, yeah, that's mine. That's
Yeah.
mine. Yes,
Um,
please.
I think it's interesting because, it's been kind of a goal of mine with this podcast, not like so intentionally, but kind of like in the background that like there's so much creative stuff happening in New Jersey. And like you could have opened this business anywhere. You could have gone back to Philly. It probably, would have blew up the same way. But the fact that you chose to open your storefront in like a coastal town in New Jersey, I think speaks a lot to just like there's such a burgeoning community there. And it's like kind of like a low key goal of mine here to just like highlight the business owners and the creatives that are out there because they're doing some really fantastic stuff. And like this episode here is just a testament to that. And we'll kind of snowball into like the next thing I want to talk about, but it's just like, yes, you being able to like bring your coffee to a music festival, that is huge. Like people from the tri-state area like flood Asbury Park to get to this. It's 1 day or 2 days?
It's 2
uh,
days.
2 days of you being there selling coffee. That's a huge market for like people to be able to like discover your brand and what you're doing. And like, yeah, it's just amazing. Like in 5 years, what you've been able to accomplish. And like the whole story about the brick and mortar just kind of, falling into your hands, but I'm obviously looking for it, but still like, it just kind of, it came to you, which I think is like a really, really fantastic, cool story.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm a big believer in pursuing what you want and like believing in it. You have to be the most delusional person.
Of course. Yeah.
If you want the thing, like everyone else can tell you every reason why it's not possible. You have to be the voice in the room that's saying like, I hear you, but also I crazy. And I think
Yeah.
it could work. And then at the same time, be willing to accept that it may absolutely not happen and
Hmm.
be completely okay with that. And
Yeah.
that is the most, I did not come to terms with that sensation for a very long time because I was like, fuck no, I'm getting it. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that like you can have that intention and also like not white knuckle.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's that little dance that you do within yourself that is allowing yourself to, well, one, allowing things to happen, allowing things to come to you, not
Hmm.
be so controlling about every little thing. And
Yeah.
also just like being the biggest advocate for your dream.
Yeah. And also like, if I've talked about this before, but like it's okay to fail. Like sometimes you have to allow yourself the grace to be like, this could not work out. It could, crash and burn into flames. And like just the experience alone, you have to be like, this was enough, for me to be like, yeah, this was this was a part of a journey in my life, and maybe I'm pivoting to something else. But, you're right. Like, there is part of it where you have to say, like, this could totally fuck up, the next 1 to 5 years of my life, but it'll still be worth it.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
to your point, I did kind of fail. Like my creative pursuit, or rather, the pursuit to be a working artist as a
Mm,
living, failed on me, and I think
yeah.
I was okay with that because it was very, very stressful, but it left me feeling like that's all I have identified myself as. So what if I'm not that? What am I? And there was a through line that I
Hmm.
am grateful I was given the perspective to be able to see. But
Yeah.
yes, you have to be willing to fail. You have to be willing to accept that failure is a possibility
Yeah.
and still want to do it.
Right. Yes. I think that's like, you love something when you're like, this could crash and burn tomorrow and it will still have been worth it. Um,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and I think what's really cool too is like, so, you're not maybe leaning as heavily on the collective side of stuff, but now you're bringing that into the other side of the business. You're like, okay, we found success in a platform in this other space. Now I can take the things from this other world that I love and kind of pull it forward into this shop, because you're doing things
Yes.
like you're doing collabs with other small businesses in the area. You're bringing in artisans and makers. Obviously, you're working with like fantastic designers in the area because you're doing things like, labels for your coffee, coffee friends, right? Is the yeah. Yeah, you're doing things, you're doing small like restaurant pop-ups with other businesses. Like, talk a little bit about, what the concerted effort is of that and why you're so passionate about doing all this stuff, because it's not like something that you're just like like, oh, like once a season we do, a pop-up or we do a market. You're like almost every weekend I feel like you've got stuff lined up and people are coming in to do stuff in the backyard and things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I came from that. That's like,
Right.
I know every struggle that comes with being that pop up. And there were so many aspects of it that I wished had been easier, or that there had been more support, or quite frankly, it's very humbling to be reaching out to people and be like, hey, I'd love to do this. Do you think that it would be possible in your space? And for people to not really have the like expanded mind, that's for a lack of better term, to be like, oh, could coffee work in this retail concept? Or could coffee
Sure.
work in this? It always just felt like I had to sell the idea of my concept popping up in a space.
Yeah.
We are now in a different time as a community, I think, as a whole, where pop-ups are far more common.
Yeah.
Um, but I have a really beautiful space, and I have a really beautiful garden, and I have spent intentional time for 5 years envisioning that other people would be able to benefit from the hard work that I've put in for myself. And
Yeah.
there's like that collective side of my business is also like lifting other people up and becoming a platform for others to be able to, because
Yeah.
we live in a society that can be very hyper individual and can be very like, well, I got here and I had to work hard, so you should too. But
Hmm.
ultimately, nothing moves faster than when we lift each other up and say, like, I have this opportunity. Can I benefit anyone else with it?
Hmm.
And so, yeah, I mean, obviously, I worked, not obviously, but I tapped a lot of friends in my creative world for a lot of branding assets and design assets, building out the space. So, and I try to work with as many like female, queer, femme, or um, neurodivergent. I'm trying to like remove the sense of othering and be
Yes.
like, everyone can be included, but like, let's also just try everything out and see what has to offer. And it's
Yeah.
been really cool because we don't have a designer. We don't have
Yeah.
an illustrator. We have many, and so many different branding assets represent different artists that we've worked with. And it's all cohesive. It's like this
Yeah.
cool opportunity to be like, hey, this is what we have so far. This is the vibe. Play. And
Yeah.
then show me what you have, like send back whatever you have, and like let's work together. Um, so that has been really cool. We've worked with different artists in the area or outside of the area to curate like art for the space. And then the pop-ups are very heavily, I'm finding myself heavily leaning toward food and beverage pop-ups now, simply
Hmm.
because we don't offer food. And that is something that is a little bit harder to put out there. When you're a food pop-up, you have very specific needs, and um, it's harder to find a host space for food pop-up unless you're like a food truck that you can just like pull up anywhere.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, but it's harder to get that out there, and I think that my like push and pull with having lived in this area for like cumulatively about a decade has been that I'm like tired of seeing the same shit over and over and over.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing people do cool things and being like, why isn't there more of this?
Hmm.
So I feel a bit like a Johnny Appleseed of these things, and being like, okay, we're gonna cultivate some more of that so that we can have more options in this area, because people are doing cool things and everyone wants pizza and tacos, and I love that for everyone,
Yeah.
but let's do something else.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's funny that you say that, because like it is like, I grew up on the Jersey Shore, and you just know that like a lot of the air, it's very homogenized. And but there are a lot of there's these layers of like artistry and like really good culinary explanation. It's just buried underneath like 50,000 Italian American restaurants and pizzerias and like bland just like luncheonettes. Like it's really like you have to be so intentional about who, like, bringing it in to people and being like, you almost have to hit them over the head with it and be like, hey, this is out there, you should try it. And they're like, oh my God, where has this been my whole life?
Totally. And the
Yeah.
barrier to entry to open your own spot is so high, and it's so expensive, and it costs
Yeah.
it involves so much to get to the point where you can open your own thing, that
Hmm.
people are out here with these like incredible concepts that are just like, I guess I have to be a pop-up because like myself included for a very long time was like, I don't know how you got there, but I'm here. So
Yeah.
I guess I'll just keep doing what I'm doing and grinding. And I see those efforts and I'm like, oh my God, thank you. Thank you for doing something
Hmm.
different. Please come here. Because while
Right.
there are eyes on the shop, I want them to be also looking at you.
Yeah. And I think it like, I talk a lot about like DIY music and how that has played such an important role in like my creative journey. But like New Jersey, I feel like has always kind of had this underpinning of like a very DIY mentality. And it really is just that idea of like we help each other. Like, let me put out my hand. I'll help you. You help me. Yeah, it is kind of a beautiful thing to see like some more variation of things popping up. And especially like, Bradley Beach, Asbury Park, Spring Lake, there is, I feel like, this kind of like constant slow churning vortex of like new interesting stuff that's happening. And it's just so nice to see you a part of that community, kind of like pulling new people in and being like, oh, check this out. I love this. You should try it also.
Totally. I'm very grateful to be a part of that. I'm not gonna lie to you. I like tried to quit this place many, many, many times. I have like, I did leave.
Hmm.
COVID had me coming back, but even up until like a year ago, I was like, I don't think so. I'm not
Hmm.
sure. I'm just like, I'm feeling this like, no. This anytime I try to do something, there feels like there's this resounding like, no, thank you. We don't want that. And it was
Hmm.
defeating for so long. And um I don't know that that is different. I think inherently, because this is a very seasonal area, regardless of
Hmm.
the fact that there are more people living here year round. It is still very seasonal.
Sure.
There's an essence of everyone competing, quote air quotes. I'm saying this
Hmm.
heavily with air quotes because I do not
Yeah.
agree with this. But there is this concept or this idea of everyone competing for the same dollars in a very short period of time. And it creates this sense of us versus them.
Sure.
Don't go to them, go to us. Tastemakers who live in the area and say like, no, they're not cool. That's not a good
Yeah.
place. Like, and that's not cool. And it doesn't help people grow. It helps
Hmm.
keep your little scarce bubble protected. But I
Yeah.
really do. I left here. No one knows what Asbury Park is until you're like, oh, that place with Bruce Springsteen. And that is so refreshing to hear when
Yeah.
you're outside of this area. So
Hmm.
having left and then having come back, my expectations for my home and where I'm going to run a business were very high. And I
Yeah.
was not going to align with smallness or small-mindedness. I was going to align with people who open the door when people are trying to do something different or new, instead of closing the door and saying, no, thank you. We've had
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah. No, that's beautiful. I love that. All right. So we're gonna, I think, wrap things up. And what I do with all my guests is everybody gets the same 3 questions. And then we'll just kind of like fire through them, and then we'll do a little wrap up, and you can plug anything you want to plug. And then we'll get out of here and enjoy our evenings.
Sounds good.
All right. So first question: what is a piece of career advice you would give a younger version of yourself?
Um, I Things do not happen in a linear fashion.
Yeah.
Do not resist the process of how things are unfolding and soak up every last moment of what it has to teach you, because these experiences are part of the building of your toolbox for the future. So these
Sure.
moments will come back around, and however deeply entrenched you are in them, and instead of fighting them, you just sort of embrace what they are, the better and more well-informed you'll be for the future.
Do you
And,
think?
oh,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
sorry. Go
please.
ahead.
No,
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 go
no.
ahead.
The next thing I was going to say, because I did make a list, because I
Yes.
have some morsels.
Yeah, please.
Learning to navigate negotiating rates and knowing your worth.
Hmm.
The power of saying no. Uh,
Yes.
and taking the time to intentionally design assets
Hmm.
fully, even if you're only just starting out. So like
Yeah.
do everything as if you are already the fully realized version of the thing, because you're going to thank yourself later, but also you're going to, people are going to perceive you differently. They're going to
Yeah.
perceive you as like the real boy instead of the figuring it out boy. That's my list.
Yeah. Do you think, like, this is just a follow up to that, but like if you had looked back 10 years, do you think 10 years ago you would have thought this is where you would be right now?
Oh my God, no. Oh
Yeah.
my God, no.
Yeah.
It's so
Um,
cool that this is, but I am humbled every single day. I'm like, what? What is happening?
yeah. Crazy. But that's all. Yeah. It's true. You kind of just have to ride the wave, and just let it take you where it's going to take you.
Totally.
Yeah.
And when something inside of you says, no, I don't think that this works, even if you don't know why,
Yeah.
lean in on that.
Yes, 100%. You have to trust your gut, because you're the only person that's really going to be able to, put you in the place that you're supposed to be. So you have to know when something doesn't feel right.
Totally.
Yeah. All right. Question 2. What's a piece of career advice someone gave you that helped propel you forward and achieve your goals?
So this was pretty recent. And I am super, super grateful. They said, are you choosing a less ideal version of the dream that you have because
Hmm.
you don't believe you're able to make the fully realized version of it happen?
Yeah.
And if so, that is some sort of limiting self-worth stuff going on, and that needs to stop, because
Yeah.
if it's working, let it work.
Yeah.
I was
That's
like,
good.
oh no, I am fully exposed. That is so real.
Yeah.
We want to
Uh,
like be the stopgap to be like, that might be too much too fast. And if it's
mhm.
working, why? Why are you the guy saying no?
Yes. And we are always our worst enemies when it comes to like our unlimited potential. Like you will always be the person that stops yourself
Totally. I couldn't
first.
possibly. Like,
Right.
who
Me? No,
said?
yeah. So yeah, it's good. Yeah, you have to, your inner voice should be like your biggest champion always. Um, always,
And when it's not, the people around you have to pick up that slack and be like,
yes.
bitch, what did you say?
Yeah.
I did not hear you just say that.
Right. Yes,
Sorry.
you need to surround yourself. No, it's fine. And it's true. You need to surround yourself with a circle of support that's always going to champion, what they know to be the best version of you. You
Totally.
don't want people around you that are going to be like, "Are you sure that's such a good idea?" You want people to be like, "Hell yeah, you should do
Totally.
that."
Totally.
Yeah,
And you
because
want levity. You want someone to be like, okay, real talk, like, what does that
yeah.
look like? Step 2, 3, and 4, because you got
Mhm.
one on lock. We
Yeah.
want that. But then we also want people to be like, you know what, just do it. That sounds
Yeah.
like it's going to work.
Yes, 100%. It's like life is too short to not try, and you want people that want you to try.
Yeah.
Yeah. And okay, question 3, what's the next level for you? And like this I always pose as like, it could be a career thing. It could be just like you want to read more books this year. You're trying to actually take like a real vacation. Like what's your goal for what's next?
I mean, so I sacrificed 5 years of my life to build this business. So I am looking to um, f- get back to being a person a little
Mhm.
bit. I think that
Yeah.
I invested a lot of time and energy and funds into building a thing. While I'm grateful, I'm a bit depleted.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. And I'm the first guy to say it. Like sometimes I'm just like, I am not 100% here and I'm so sorry, but like this is a lot. I'm doing a lot
Yeah.
and I'm grateful for it, but I'm also like not running on full
Yeah.
gas. But so yeah, carving out intentional time to rededicate to like being a person.
Yeah.
And then for the business, I think I've sort of leaned in on keep them guessing. So
Mhm.
while in the beginning, I used to be more like, this is what I'm working on. This is what I'm doing. I'm a little bit more like, you know what? Wait and see. Just hang
Yeah.
out. Check it out. You'll see. But for now, we are getting settled into our own space, dedicating time to staff education.
Mhm.
Ideally, what I am investing my time and energy in right now is getting it to the point where the business doesn't need me and
Yeah.
my staff don't need me on a day-to-day basis.
Sure.
So I can refill my own cup
Mhm.
and then start focusing on what we're doing next.
Yeah. Love that.
Yeah.
And like as far as, what are you doing right now that's kind of keeping you motivated? Like books, music, movies, is there anything that you're like really invested in right now that's kind of like that you're like, I would love to talk about this? Or, I always like to fold a little bit of like personal culture and things into this. And like, I think people like the recommendations. So I would say, just fire off whatever you're doing.
I was looking up the name of the author for the book because I just like
Yeah.
fire off the name of the book and I'm like, what's his name again?
Mhm.
Unreasonable Hospitality by Will
Yeah.
Guidara, who is um th- like deeply entrenched in the food world.
Yeah.
I'm blanking on where 11 Madison Park, of course. Uh I am reading this book and I'm reading it coming across sections where I'm like, oh my God, I'm already doing these things, or this frame
Mhm.
of mind is already something that I am implementing for myself as well as my team. But it's also just I am getting comfortable identifying myself as a leader. I've been self motivated
Mhm.
for a very long time. So reading books and listening to podcasts by people who lead and do so from the heart and do so with the intention of creating like human first spaces
Mhm.
is very, very important to me.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm doing to fill my cup in that realm. And also nature, weirdly
Yeah.
enough. I think that there's a lot of lessons to be learned in natural spaces that uh, it just turns the noise down a little bit and
Yeah.
allows you to sort of be present with yourself. And that's what I'm doing.
Nice. I would say on my end, it's always a lot of music, I feel like, but I try to recommend whatever I'm listening to, but the new Deftones record is really, really good. And also Earl Sweatshirt just put out a new record that's fantastic. That's like really inspirational. And oddly enough, I don't know if you're a Chance the Rapper fan, but his new record has been like really, really good. And I just finished Dune, which was like a real
The
slog.
book?
But yes,
You read the whole series?
well, no, I just finished the first book,
Wow, I'm
which
so
is like,
impressed.
but it was really good. It's like an interesting like look into like perspective of like politics from like a 60s, kind of perspective. And I was like, oh, it's like cool. It's a bit of a slog, but it was a good book. And yeah, I don't know. I'm reading The Long Walk by Stephen King right now, so it's a bit of a palate cleanser. But yeah, I don't know. It's something a little different. But yeah, that's kind of what I would recommend. But okay, so we're like kind of towards the end now. Just like plug all your stuff, let everybody know what you're doing, where they can find you.
Okay. We're Steady Hand Cafe. We're at 710 Main Street in Bradley Beach, New Jersey, which is a cute little town, like right next to Asbury Park on the north central Jersey coast.
Mm-hmm.
We are Steady Hand Cafe on Instagram, steadyhandcafe.com on our website.
Yeah.
Our coffee is called Coffee Friends. If you were to Google that, you could grab some beans online. You could always come in. We're open every day, 7 to 5. We're working on a lot of really cool food and beverage pop-ups. We're also going to be serving coffee at See Here Now again for the second year in a row, which is crazy
Amazing.
cool. Yeah, the fall is going to be a lot of dedicating time to other really cool food and beverage oriented pop-ups. So keep an eye on what we've got going on.
Amazing. Yeah, and for us, you can basically find us anywhere at DGDC Pod on all our socials, and then me specifically, if you have any questions or if you want to be on the show, I'm always looking for more people. It's at @Lauro_design. Hit us up. We'd love to have you. But Ashley, thank you so much for taking time out of your evening. I know you had a very busy day.
We did it.
Yes, and I just want to say thank you so much.
Yeah, this is great. This is nice to formally meet you.
I know, it's great. I was like, it's always fun when I get to
We're
have
internet friends.
Yes, we're internet friends, and now we're face-to-face friends, and
There we
it's
go.
fantastic.
Let me know the next time that you're in the area and getting coffee.
Oh,
even
of
if I'm
course.
not here, like be like, I'm coming in so that we
Yeah.
can like do this in real life.
I always hate to bother people because
No,
I'm always
it's
like,
not a
they're
bother.
busy. Okay,
No,
well, it's good to know.
I want to.
Yeah. All right. Well, fantastic. We'll catch up next time in the area.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Bye.
Deeply graphic.